You're listening to the Fresh Hell podcast. Fresh Hell contains stories of a disturbing and often graphic nature and is intended for a mature audience. Please don't let your kids listen to this, or they might turn out like us. Hello, Hellions. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Fresh Hell. I'm Annie from Boston.
And I'm Johanna from Vienna. Welcome if this is your first time listening to us, and welcome back to our regulars, of course.
Yeah, we hope you're all doing well. How are you? You all right?
I'm fine. I'm okay.
Good. All right.
How are you?
Also okay. I think everybody is a little strained right now, but we're doing all right. We're doing our best. Is there anything we need to talk about before we begin?
Yes, there's something I need to get off my chest, and this will be the first and the last time that I want to address this issue. Since we started this podcast over a year ago, it happened like a handful of times that we got reviews or messages saying that they enjoy our podcast, but that they hate that we, quote, just need to bring politics into this, end quote, or that we, quote, should stop to talk about politics, end quote, because you listen to podcasts to get away from politics or because you don't agree with what we say about politics. Listen, I get that you might not want to hear about politics. I often feel the exact same, especially if it's about politics in a country that I don't even live in. But, and this is a huge but, this is a conversational style podcast, and Annie and I are not straightforward storytelling kind of people. We are two hosts who talk to each other, and therefore our personal view on things will never not shine through. We are not robots. It's just not possible for us. Also, this is a true crime podcast. Crime involves a lot of things that are considered political, like gun laws or law enforcement, correctional system, crimes against minorities, all this stuff. How do you expect that we talk about this without our own viewpoints? This is not a political podcast. We don't discuss politics, but guess what? Annie is an American liberal. I'm a European centrist. We don't even agree on all things, I think.
No.
But this is what will influence the way we see things. I'm sorry, guys, if you don't want to hear the occasional side remark that hints at politics, or if you get easily offended by opinions that are different from yours, you might not be happy here. You can turn us off at any time. There are no hard feelings. I completely understand. But you are now officially warned. This podcast is hosted by two women with opinions, and it involves occasionally chit-chat, laughing, and swear words. I am honestly done with messages trying to dictate what we can or can't say on our podcast. And I don't mean to be rude. We appreciate constructive criticism at any time. I love to read your messages, but I don't appreciate when I'm told what I should say or think. Okay?
Yeah.
So, rant over. Annie, is there anything you would like to add? I'm sure 75% of our listeners have turned off by now. I'm very sorry.
No, it's true. I've always been very passionate about politics, and it's been very surprising to me, honestly, how often I'll say to Johanna to cut something because it's political here. And if you don't travel outside the US, you might be kind of shocked by things that are considered political in the United States. Most other countries, it's just basic human rights and like common sense 101, right? Unfortunately, there's almost no way to avoid it. I wish more than anything that statements like, all people deserve equal rights, or people with cancer shouldn't have to declare bankruptcy weren't political statements, but here we are. And the other important thing to remember is that I'm not talking with my friend that I've known for 20 years who lives down the street. I'm talking to a relatively new friend who I have never met in real life, who has very different cultural and societal norms to what we have here. And sometimes we just have to explain things to each other. We're not meaning to get political. It's part of how we do things. So as Johanna said, if you just can't handle differing viewpoints, maybe this isn't the right show for you. But we really are not looking to get political. We want to avoid politics as much as you do. We promise. We just want to talk about the terrible stories.
Exactly. Completely agree. All right, now that we addressed this, why don't we dive into today's case?
Yes.
We will be discussing possible suicide, suicidal ideation, and mental health issues. And if that's a trigger for you, maybe skip this episode, because this week I have a mysterious disappearance for you that happened not so long ago. This was actually interesting. I read about the case a few weeks back. I'm always drawn to missing person cases. I tend to get very invested emotionally.
Oh, yeah.
And when I read this one, I couldn't stop thinking about it. And then, just a couple of days later, I talked to Alex, one of our Hellions, who started our Discord server where we can do voice chats. Big shout out to Alex. And he asked me if I heard about the Lars Mittank case. Well, I just had read about it. And I think Alex has followed this case for a very long time. And he knows all the details, and I think it will be super interesting to discuss his theories about it in our Facebook group or on the Discord server.
That sounds great. And also, hi, Alex.
In a German article from 2018, I found the following statistics. Each day in Germany, 300 people are reported missing, and we all know that most cases get solved soon after. It's normal, everyday things that happen, nothing sinister. Someone might have slept over at a friend's house. Someone might have taken a weekend trip without telling their families. Sometimes people had an accident and are found in a hospital. 50% of those missing person reports can get solved in the first week. And after 1 month, 80% of the missing people have been found, dead or alive. I have to add, only 3% of the people remain missing for more than a year. And in 2018, there were 11,400 open missing person cases in Germany. That also includes people of German nationality who go missing in another country. And Lars Mittank is one of them. So we are not traveling back in time too much, only to the year 2014. Lars Mittank is 28 years old and lives in the German state of Schleswig-Holstein, in a small town named Mahne. And Schleswig-Holstein is the northernmost of the German states with its capital Kiel. So we are talking North Sea, lots of fishery, German Navy, and so on. Also a lot of cruises, Annie, start or stop at cities like Kiel or Bremerhaven, which is, I know, technically not in Schleswig-Holstein, but very close.
Okay, I believe you.
Lars is working in Wilhelmshaven, so that's another famous naval city at the North Sea, roughly 150 kilometers or 31 miles southwest of Mahne. He has a job at a local power plant. He works hard, according to his mom, often 7 days a week. I think how this works is that they work 7 days in a row and then they have like 3 or 4 or 5 days off. But he's not only a hard worker and a very reliable employee, he's also the best child parents could wish for. Because in 2012, Lars' father had suffered a stroke, and now Lars would drive over to his parents almost every day after work to help them wherever he could.
Oh, well, he sounds like a good guy. It seems like he had a really close relationship to his family.
Yes, I'm sure both of the statements are correct. As far as I read, he also had a girlfriend, but to be honest, I only saw that mentioned in Facebook groups, and I got the feeling that if she really was his girlfriend, she wants to stay out of the media attention. So all I'm going to say is he apparently had a girlfriend.
Okay, fair enough.
In 2014, Lars decides to do something he has never done before. He books a summer vacation with some of his friends from school, and they decide to fly to Bulgaria, to Varna, for a week. Maybe this is not well known in the US, but there is a place in Bulgaria that is called Golden Sands, and it's a beach resort town at the Black Sea coast that attracts over 3 million tourists per year, mostly young people, who want to party for a week or two. You can compare it to places like Mallorca, Ibiza, Cancun, Daytona Beach. You know what I mean. Fun times.
I do. I was once young and healthy-er. And I went to college really close to Daytona, so we used to go there all the time on the weekends, and I definitely know what you mean. Yeah, it's good times.
So I read that Lars was not the kind of person who would usually go on a party trip with friends. He would have preferred to go on a diving trip, but to be honest, I totally get that if you work hard all year round, a week of harmless party fun with friends you knew since your time at school, it does sound very tempting, right?
Oh, yeah.
So on June 30th, 2014, Lars and 5 of his longtime male friends take a plane to Varna in Bulgaria, and I found one source that said he was there with 2 friends, another said it was 4 friends, but it looks like it really was 5 friends. That's statements that were made by his friends who were on the trip with him. So sure. I assume 5 friends is correct. Also, if I made any mistake in the research for this episode, if I got any facts wrong, please message me. I'm very sorry. I don't know, Annie, if you feel the same, like with these missing person cases, sometimes it's very hard to find really the facts and the lore. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
So, they arrive in Varna and everything is fine. Lars and his friends hang out at the beach, they go out to party. For 5 days, the 6 guys are having a great time. 2014 is also once more a year of the Soccer World Cup.
Sorry, does it feel weird for you to say soccer? Because do you not call it football like the rest of the world? Like football and then American football? I thought that just North America and the Canadians are the only ones that call it soccer. But now I'm not sure if that's true.
No, we call it, well, in English we learned the term soccer, because in German it's Fußball.
Okay.
But we would never call it football, because football for us, if we think of football, is American football. So yes, for us it's soccer if we speak in English, and in German it's Fußball.
Oh, this is always so interesting to me, because then if you were talking to my relatives in England, they'd say, no, it's not soccer, it's football. Bloody Americans.
We already talked about the World Cup in our episode about Frauke Liebs. That case took place in 2006, so I won't be getting into more soccer details here. But from 12th of June to 13th of July, the World Cup took place in Brazil, and Germany was world champion once more by the end of it for the 4th time.
Congratulations.
Okay, so this buddy vacation falls right into this time, and I'm pretty sure Lars and his friends did watch the occasional game during their time in Bulgaria. I think I checked. If I remember correctly, there were at least 2 games. We know that Lars at least was very interested in soccer. He was fan of Werder Bremen. I think they are the 3rd most successful soccer club in Germany after Bayern München on 1st place and Borussia Dortmund on 2nd.
Okay.
You know Bayern München, right?
Yeah, sure. Yay, sports ball.
Okay. Yeah, so Lars Mittank's favorite soccer team is the 3rd most successful one in Germany.
Nice.
Okay, so Lars and his friends are having a fun time at Golden Sands in Bulgaria for 5 days. But then, 2 days before the return flight, something happens. So after a visit to a bar, Lars' friends decide that they want to go and grab some food, and here it already starts to get a little bit weird. So Lars doesn't want to join them, and he decides to head back to the hotel by himself. I don't know, Annie, if you are out with your friends on a holiday and they say, oh, we're gonna grab a burger here, would you go back alone to the hotel, or would you just sit there and wait for them?
Not when I was that age, I wouldn't. Nowadays, it's pretty frequently that I'll go back to the hotel because I just get tired faster or I can't keep up or whatever with my health problems. But to be that age with no health issues, yeah, that seems strange to me. That you wouldn't just, why wouldn't you just go and hang out with everybody? Like, even if you're not hungry, it's still...
I mean, it's not like they went to a restaurant and had like a 6-course meal. They went to grab a bite somewhere, you know?
Right, yeah.
Okay, but he doesn't want to join them, and he says he's heading to the hotel by himself. The hotel is not far away. It's just a few minutes walk, I think.
Okay.
So that night, Lars is wearing a jersey of his favorite soccer club, Werder Bremen. And this is a small and very insignificant fact. And usually it would mean nothing. But in this case, this evening, the Werder Bremen shirt might be what started everything. Because he runs into a group of Bayern München fans, and I guess it's the same with fans of different football teams, American football teams. Like sometimes there's some rivalry that can go from, innocent teasing to name-calling and in worst case to physical violence.
Of course, yeah.
Lars and the Bayern München fans start an argument that ends in Lars being either slapped or hit on the head. And he is injured in this fight. So how I read it was that Lars' friends make their way back to the hotel and they catch up with him, which is also weird because, as I said, it was just a few minutes walk. And he seemed weird. He seemed off and they asked him, what's going on with you? And he didn't say anything. And the next morning he told them that he encountered some Bayern München fans and they started an argument. And at first, apparently, he said they hit him. And then he said they hired some Russians or Bulgarians to beat him up.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. So, sorry, do we know if he started the fight?
Well, here's the thing. So I read in this Facebook group that was made by Lars' family in the beginning, his friends or vacation buddies still wrote there, and somebody said that he was looking for trouble the whole time on his vacation. Others said that's not true.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely possible.
It's possible, but we can't say for sure.
No.
Let's assume he didn't, and it was just the jersey that started all this.
Sure. And it's very possible, too, that something could have been put into his drink at the bar that would have maybe had him acting a little bit not like himself. it's a possibility at least.
Yeah, could have happened, sure. Yeah. So it's Sunday, 6th of July 2014. It's one day before the scheduled return flight. And, Lars tries to take it easy. He wants to be fit for his flight back home the next day. But when the pain doesn't get better until the next morning, he decides to go to see a doctor to have his ear checked. And the doctor finds that the punch or the slap to his ear has ruptured his eardrum. And the doctor also tells him that there's no way that he will be fit for flight this afternoon. And he either has to prolong his stay in Bulgaria or find another way to get home, most likely via bus. The doctor also tells him to go to the local hospital for a checkup.
What a miserable way to end your vacation. It's just awful.
Yeah. The thing is, though, a ruptured eardrum does not automatically make you unfit for flight.
Oh.
So most of the time, it's no problem to fly with a busted eardrum because there is no pressure that can build up in your ear.
Oh, right.
It's already ruptured, you know what I mean?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
How severe was his injury?
Yeah.
It's a little bit weird.
Well, it is. It does make you wonder exactly what was going on. I guess also just how much pain he felt like he was. I don't know. This is starting to seem like, yeah.
It's a little bit weird.
It's a little bit weird, yeah. It depends on how much pain he was in, I guess.
I guess, yeah.
But, yeah, that seems odd that a doctor would say don't fly if it's...
Yeah. It's 7th of July 2014. Lars says goodbye to his friends when they get on board the shuttle bus that will take them from the hotel to the airport. Now, there has been a lot of discussion by people following this case. People quite frankly can't understand how the friends could have left Lars all by himself in a foreign country, and that one of them should have stayed behind with him and rescheduled the flight or, take the bus back to Germany with Lars. The friends, on the other hand, say that they did indeed offer to stay there with Lars, but that he refused and told them that he'll be fine. Couple of thoughts here.
Yeah.
I don't know if they did or did not offer to stay in Bulgaria with Lars. I think it's easy in hindsight to say someone should have stayed. I want to think that I would have stayed with a friend, but also, did they have to get back to work? Did they have the money to rebook the flight? Lars said he was fine, he's a grown-up man. On the other hand, he was injured. He was in a country that he didn't know. He didn't speak the language. It's not like he was a very experienced traveler.
Sure.
If you haven't traveled a lot in your life, some things can be really intimidating in foreign countries.
Oh, yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is I understand why people say the friends should have stayed with him. I wish they would have stayed, but I can see reasons why they didn't. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I don't think I would leave a friend. I think I'd stay. But of course, it's easy to say that, and hindsight is always sort of 20/20, isn't it? But I don't think I would leave a friend. But I think that might also be another way in which women are different from men, just because I think very often women are thinking about the 101 possible bad scenarios that happen if you've left a woman alone, and these are probably scenarios that most men would never even think of. So that could maybe be part of it.
Maybe. Yeah, could be.
I think you'd be more likely to let your male friend walk home alone from a bar than your female friend, right? Just as the most basic example of that, right? So
yeah.
I think that to a higher degree, I think that women would be less likely, whereas men, if he's saying, I'm fine, go ahead, you'd probably be like, all right, call me when you get back and we'll get together.
But I also think that they thought that he would be admitted to the hospital.
Oh.
And that he would have to stay overnight in the hospital. So you would think, okay, he's going to the hospital, he's going to stay there, and then he's going to fly home. What can happen, right?
Sure, yeah.
So Lars' friends are on their way back home. I think they gave him the rest of their money for his prolonged stay. Because that's also another thing. I read that his credit card was, how do you say that?
Oh, he was at the limit?
No, not really. You go to the ATM, for example, and you type in your PIN 3 times incorrect. It gets cancelled or
Yes, yeah, okay.
So they apparently gave him the cash. Lars then makes his way to the hospital in the hope that they will make him stay there for the night. And at the hospital he waits for quite some time, only to be told that they won't admit him overnight, but that he is indeed not well enough to fly the next day either. And they tell him again, yes, you have a ruptured eardrum. He gets a prescription for the antibiotic cefprozil. I hope I say that correctly. So cefprozil was invented by Bayer and is used to treat bacterial infections. And as I understand, the use of cefprozil is seen nowadays as rather critical, as it can cause quite some side effects. So Annie, I sent you the link about the prescribed medicine. Mm-hmm. You want to read it?
Yeah, do you want me to read the whole thing?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So this is another thing that some of you might find interesting. Whenever my friends and family from other countries come here, they're shocked when they see advertisements for prescription medication on television. I'd say that's about half the ads we get. Very weird. All right. So this comes from rxlist.com. Quote, the most common adverse effects observed in patients treated with cefprozil are gastrointestinal, including diarrhea, nausea, vomiting, and abdominal pain, hepatobiliary, which is elevations of AST or SGOT, ALT, alkaline phosphatase, and bilirubin values, as with some penicillins and some other cephalosporin antibiotics. Cholestatic jaundice has been reported rarely. Hypersensitivity, including rash, urticaria. Such reactions have been reported more frequently in children than adults. Signs and symptoms usually occur a few days after initiation of therapy and subside within a few days after cessation of therapy. So in terms of your cerebral spinal symptoms, you've got dizziness, hyperactivity, headache, nervousness, insomnia, confusion, and somnolence have been reported rarely, in less than 1%. All were reversible. Okay, and then there were some other stuff, but this all sounds like pretty much the norm for any standard antibiotic.
Yeah. The thing I have to say, so as far as I understand, cefprozil is not allowed to be prescribed anymore in Germany and most European states, as far as I know.
Okay.
Yeah. Lars has a taxi driver take him to a pharmacy where he gets his meds. He then returns to the hotel only to pick up his luggage. And now Lars has to find a place to stay for the night. And a taxi takes Lars to a 2-star hotel by the name Color, close to the center of Varna. And now there's also some misconception going on. Many believe that this hotel is set in a rather shady area that is avoided by most locals.
Okay.
But apparently that's not the case. It's not the nicest area in Varna, but it's also not super shady. You know what I mean?
I do. It's like where we usually stay when we travel.
Yeah, same.
It's not the best part of town. It's not the worst part of town. Yeah.
So why did he not choose to prolong his stay in his previous hotel or chose a hotel closer to the airport? Who knows? My guess is he probably wanted to save money as he was not sure how much longer he would need to stay in Varna. And also it was high season.
Oh, see, that could be it.
Yeah. Now, of course, I looked at the ratings of the Hotel Color. They are not too bad, to be honest. It's a very low budget hotel and you get what you pay for. But none of the reviews talks about, feeling unsafe there or complain about the staff or the neighborhood in any way.
Good.
I heard that there are drugs sold and there are sex workers sitting at the bar, but even if that's the case, that wouldn't shock me too much because I've been to a lot of hotels that are like this.
I was just going to say.
It's not like they force you to do that.
No, exactly. I've been to plenty of hotels where that was likely happening and it's none of my business.
Yeah. Exactly. What happens during the next hours is still not completely clear, so we know that Lars contacted his mother several times via messages and via calls. I think he asked her to try and get his credit card working again. He asked her to book a plane ticket and a bus ticket, according to some sources, which she did. He tells her that he is being followed, that he feels unsafe, and also that he had to run away and hide in a very high place, and he's scared of falling down.
Oh God.
That he's hiding from 4 unknown men, and that there is something severely wrong with the hotel.
Oh.
He also tells her that he doesn't want to stay in Bulgaria any longer, and he apparently also asked her if she knows cefprozil. And his mother said that Lars sounded very scared and stressed, that she tried to calm him down. I mean, she must have felt so helpless.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
It must be so hard for a parent. And clearly you hear your child being in distress, but there's nothing you can do at the moment because he's in another country.
It's a nightmare. Yeah.
So the next thing we know is that sometime between 3 and 4 a.m. Lars packs his belongings and leaves the hotel on foot. The receptionist even asked him why he doesn't wait for the scheduled pickup for his transfer to the airport, but he just gets out of the hotel. Around 5 a.m. he waves down a taxi, but the taxi is already occupied by a Bulgarian social worker, and she decides to let him hop in as he seemed to be in desperate need for help. Social workers have an eye for that, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
So the social worker and the driver both later state that Lars had acted very confused and very nervous. They also mentioned that his pupils were dilated.
Yeah.
could hint at drugs or
Head injury, yeah.
They take him to his destination, the airport in Varna, where he arrives sometime around 6 a.m. And he's planning on seeing the airport doctor again to get cleared for a flight back home.
There's an airport doctor, though?
Yeah.
Do all airports have a doctor?
I think they do, yeah.
It's just something I never realized before. Yeah.
So they drop him off. He calls his mom again. He tells her that he made it to the airport safely. He says he wants to clean up in the washing room.
I guess that's one of the only places where you're not alarmed to see someone basically having a bath in a sink is like at the airport. If you see that though at like your local Italian restaurant, you're going to think hard about it. But like at the airport?
Yeah, but why didn't he take a shower at the hotel before he left?
No, this whole thing is giving me very, very sad vibes. Yeah.
Something went completely wrong there, yeah.
Yeah.
So he tells her that they aren't letting him leave, not by plane and not by bus. But he hasn't yet seen the doctor, so how can he be sure? Or does he mean somebody else? Like, who is they? And he once more asks his mom for money. He had asked a person at the airport how he could get money wired to him, and they tell him, yeah, you can use Western Union. So his mom sends 500 euros via Western Union. Lars will never pick up the money.
Oh.
So around 9 a.m., the surveillance camera on the Varna airport shows Lars carrying his luggage, heading towards the doctor's office. He goes in and tries to get cleared for the flight. The doctor apparently takes a lot of time to talk to him, and he notes everything down. He later says Lars' hands were shaking. He seems to be anxious, which can be understandable in that situation.
Sure.
He refuses to be treated. He refuses to take medication. And then, after 40 minutes, a man in a uniform walks in, and according to the doctor, it was just an airport employee, so it was not police or something like that, yeah.
Oh, sure, just like a flight uniform. Anything. So many uniforms at airports.
And then Lars Mittank panics. The doctor said, I don't want to die. But then again, how sure can we be that he really said that? Because maybe they miscommunicated or something like that.
Different languages, maybe.
Yeah. So, but he panics, he runs out of the doctor's office, he's leaving everything behind, his luggage, his backpack where his wallet is in, his phone, his passport. He takes nothing with him.
Oh.
And on the surveillance tape, you can see Lars running through the airport building. And then outside the airport, he slows down a bit when he sees a police car driving by. And then he heads towards a fence that surrounds the airport. And according to eyewitness reports, he then climbs the 2.5 meter barbed wire fence, which is 8.2 feet, I think.
Okay.
And disappears into what was described as a field of tall sunflowers. And that's the last that was seen of Lars. He never contacted his family again. He didn't try to pick up his belongings. Nothing. His family is still looking for answers what happened to Lars Mittank. And it really reminds me of Erin Gilleran, who also panicked suddenly, ran away, and was never seen again.
Yeah, definitely. I could see why those two cases would be... Yeah. It's so tragic, and it's also very unusual.
Mm-hmm. Of course, over the years, a lot of claims have been made by people saying they know where Lars is, or that they saw a man who looked like Lars. Of course, many people genuinely try to help, but just like in most of these cases, some, I have to say it, assholes come out, try to trick the families out of money.
Yeah.
And I really hope karma gets these people seriously.
Yeah, I think it's okay to call them assholes. I think we all agree that those people are scum.
They're the worst.
Yeah.
In 2019, Lars' family once more had their hopes up when a German truck driver contacted the authorities to report a hitchhiking man that he had offered a ride to Berlin. And after seeing an article about Lars, he was sure that the man that was in his truck only a while before must have been Lars Mittank. And the police was able to locate the homeless man, and sadly it was not Lars. So, yeah. Should we talk a little bit about the theories surrounding Lars' disappearance?
Yes, definitely. I think I've got one myself.
Okay, so of course the thing that most people think is that Lars' injury was more severe than he thought. Some of his friends stated that he had a visible injury to the ear and the head. Is it possible that Lars not only had a burst eardrum but also a brain injury? At first I thought that a blow has to be really hard in order to injure your eardrum. You know?
Mm-hmm.
But then I read up on it, and it appears that the eardrum gets more likely ruptured through a slap because of the pressure that builds up when you hit the ear.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, maybe it was a blow that was rather hard, you know? I think it's possible that he had a head or brain injury that would have needed further examination, for example, via CT.
Yeah.
And that the doctors just didn't do that.
Right. And we also don't know how many times he was hit. I think we can assume once in the ear with an open palm to probably cause that eardrum injury, but I would argue it's maybe not even logical to think that he was only hit once, right?
Or maybe he fell.
Could have fallen and then hit his head. Absolutely. Yeah.
Did a brain injury cause Lars to be confused or paranoid? Did he suffer from memory loss? Maybe he doesn't remember his name and where he's from. So that when he ran out of the airport and disappeared, he just didn't know what to do and where to go. But then again, would a confused German-speaking man not raise some attention?
You'd think it would. You'd have an overboard type situation, right? Where if that had happened, then he would have been on the news and they would have figured it out, right?
That's true, but it's a party location.
That's true.
Thinking of it, would a confused German-speaking man really raise so much suspicion in the beginning? Like, you would think it's just another drunk.
Sure. Yep. No, that's true. That's true.
But yeah, the case was all over Bulgarian news. If someone found him or encountered him, I just think at one point somebody would have contacted the police.
Yeah.
Or did he have a reaction to the prescribed medicine? Maybe in combination with alcohol. They drank alcohol for 5 or 6 days.
Mm-hmm.
Judging from the stated side effects, I think it's possible that he had some side reaction. It said it can cause confusion, hallucinations. What else was it?
Yeah, it seems like an incredibly rare side effect, but it's possible.
It's possible, yeah.
It's possible. But I don't know very much about that drug. I don't think there's a equivalent in the States for it. But yeah, that would be, it's possible.
But why wasn't he found?
I know.
Did he have an accident? Did someone take him?
Well.
Did he get in contact with some shady people? Did he get in contact with drugs? Organized crime? Was someone really out to get him? Or was he having hallucinations?
Well, so that's part of the thing that bothers me so much about it. So the side effects combined with a head trauma could definitely explain a lot. I will say that so before I started getting my Botox injections for migraine, I had to prove to my insurance that other medications didn't work for me first. Warning, this might be considered a political statement. So it's common in this country that your doctor doesn't actually decide what medication you take. Your insurance does. So this has happened to me many, many times. And so basically, insurance company employees who are not doctors dictate what they'll pay for you to get. So, for example, I had to go on high-dose steroids before they paid for my first biologic. That gave me chronic damage, and I had a similar problem with the Botox. So, interestingly, suicidal ideation was not listed anywhere as a side effect with this very common triptan migraine medication that I was on, but it happened to me. And I'm so grateful that it was the most bizarre thing because I immediately recognized it for what it was. But even when I realized that I had taken a pill, I was getting a migraine, I lay down in bed, took the pill, lay down in a dark room, woke up crying, and all I could think about was the best way to end my life in a way that would least inconvenience the people I love. And it was just the most bizarre experience because my rational brain knew exactly what was happening, but I could not stop thinking about it. And it was bizarre. It was not a side effect that's even listed with the drug that I was taking, but I never touched that medicine again and it's never happened again. So long story short, it could have been the meds. It definitely could have been the meds. Yeah.
I don't think that Lars just ran off to start a new life. People do that all the time. He was working hard at home.
Yeah, I don't think he'd have left his dad, though, do you?
Look, things like this happen, yeah?
Yeah.
But I honestly don't believe it either. Not because he was reliable and a steady person. People can have dark secrets that nobody knows of. Or maybe he met a woman,
Sure.
Stranger things have happened.
It's possible.
It's possible. So I'm not saying that he did have dark secrets. I just mean it's possible. It's a possibility.
Yeah.
But the thing is why I don't believe it is, why would he leave all his money behind and run off in such a spectacular way, Why wouldn't he get the 500 euros Western Union money and his wallet? If you want to start a new life, you can need all the money you can get your hands on.
Yeah, and your passport, so you can get out of Bulgaria.
Why would he run out of the doctor's office in a panic, then run past several surveillance cameras? It just makes no sense, And then he climbs a fence.
Yeah.
So another theory says that he ran off to catch a bus to Germany, but that makes no sense either. Why would you leave all your stuff behind? You would at least need your passport and money.
Mm-hmm.
Why climb over the fence? Why not take a taxi to the bus station? And also, our hellion Alex told me he checked the bus schedule, and if I remember correctly, the international buses that would have taken him to Germany did not leave until way later during the day. So it's not as if he suddenly realized, oh my god, I'm in a hurry, I have to get my bus.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I don't think this sounds in any way like someone who just wanted to disappear.
Or did he forget something in the hotel and he wanted to get it and ran off and climbed over a fence?
But what could it have been if they... Yeah, because if they had his wallet and his passport, what could you have possibly... Do you know what I mean?
Did he see somebody outside of the airport?
I don't...
Did he witness something in the hotel, something he was not supposed to see?
Oh, so like when he called his mother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then he said he was hiding in a place high up. But why did he have time to pack his luggage? If you have to run for your life, wouldn't you just, grab your wallet, your phone, your passport and, get the fuck out of there?
I mean, I would, yeah.
Then there is the theory that he got snatched by the organ mafia.
Oh.
That the airport doctor was involved. Yeah. I don't think so. Many people say that Bulgaria is a dangerous country to travel to, that it's a corrupt country, that organized crime is big there. I've been to Bulgaria once for one night in Sofia. I don't honestly know a lot about Bulgaria, to be honest. I know a lot of people who travel to Bulgaria, especially Varna, for years now, and they absolutely adore it. My guess is that it's possible, that it's more unsafe there than, let's say, in Austria, for example.
Yeah.
Especially if you're an inexperienced traveler. But so are many other places. And the airport doctor was involved in organ trade. Yeah, I really don't think so. I don't know.
Although, if you were involved in the black market organ trade, the airport would probably be a good place to find people.
Look, I have friends in the Austrian police, yeah?
Yeah.
And I remember years ago one told me about organ trade, and it's usually what happens. Yes, there's organ trade mafia, but what happens is usually they take very, very poor people from Romania and Bulgaria and countries like this, and they promise them that they take them to countries like France or Germany or Austria, the UK to get work. But what they do is they snatch them, and it's human trafficking. I just don't think you would take a German tourist for organ trade. No. A German tourist who just spent 5 days or 6 days drinking and partying.
No, that's true. I've never heard anything about Bulgaria being unsafe or more unsafe than other places, but I've not ever been. When we went to Prague, I was a little bit nervous because when I was reading all the reviews and trying to figure out where to stay, so many of the reviews had people, saying they felt unsafe and be careful of pickpockets and this kind of thing. But then when we were actually there, I think some of the people that leave these reviews must just come from small towns and they've never been in a big city, because I never felt any more or less safe in Prague than I did in Boston or New York or London. Busy cities are busy cities, but that doesn't, make them inherently unsafe. You know what I mean?
Look, Bulgaria definitely is a little bit different from other countries here in Europe.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about pickpockets, you have them in all major cities, or petty crime. But there have been travel warnings by German Ministry of Foreign Affairs over the years regarding organized crime in Bulgaria. One travel warning I found concerned doctors in Bulgaria who would treat tourists and then demand an exorbitant amount of money, threatening to keep the passports until they pay. But I don't know, do you think the airport doctor did that and that's why Lars ran off? He was an inexperienced traveler. The doctor tells him, we're gonna keep your passport, we're not gonna let you leave until you pay, I don't know, 500 euros, 1,000 euros, whatever. And he panics and runs off?
He still had possession of his passport, and even if the doctor did say that to you, would your response be to scale an 8? Listen, my response is literally never going to be scale an 8-foot fence. That's just not in my wheelhouse. But you know what I mean? I feel like I'd just pay the money. His mother had Western Unioned the money, so even if that had happened, I probably would have been like, here's 200 euro, just fine, let me get out of this place and get home, right? It's
so weird anyway. Why? The thing is with the not fit for flight, about the ruptured eardrum. Yeah. Okay, the doctors tell him you're not fit for flight. That's just an insurance for the flight company. like the airline.
Yeah.
But he could have been flying, because who would check? They're not checking him at the airport.
No, they're not. They're not peering into your ears with I should know the name of that thing that they look into your ears with.
So he must have been really scared that he could damage his ear further. Or maybe he misinterpreted something the doctor said. Maybe he thought that he could die if he goes on the flight, and that's why he said, I don't want to die, and ran off.
I mean, it's possible. It's possible, but...
It's possible, but not likely, yeah.
I just have a hard time imagining that was the case.
So my theory, I think it all points towards like a psychotic episode.
Yeah, I agree.
It was a party vacation, probably a lot of alcohol, combination with little sleep. I know what that does to you. Yeah. Seriously. Lars was on a vacation like this for the first time. The injury, the medication, side effects, maybe he showed signs of paranoia, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. He was being scared of people who were out to get him. Also, the thing about the Bayern München fans who paid a Russian to beat him up, like, how likely is that?
That was the first red flag for me, yeah.
Yeah. Then he flees in panic when he sees a uniformed man entering the doctor's office. Then he slows down when he sees a police car. It's just...
Yeah.
I think it was a psychotic episode, yeah.
I agree. And it makes me sad that no one was able to sort of stop him, and have him hospitalized, even if it was against his will. And I think it would be really interesting to ask his parents, if there had been any other like unusual behavior. It almost sounds like the psychotic break started the day of the fight that he had with the tourists, right? And then everything sort of spiraled from there, and a head injury wouldn't help anything.
But what if the tourists didn't even exist?
Well, this is it. It could be there were no tourists. Yeah.
Yeah.
You could, depending on the type of delusions and psychosis you're experiencing, you could literally trip over your own feet, fall, and firmly believe that you had been attacked and assaulted.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's sad.
But then where did he go? What happened to him? The area around the airport, he ran into this field of sunflowers, and I checked on Google Maps, and it's not like he ran into a national park. It's not like a dense wooded area.
Okay, I'll have to take a look, but yeah, that's the thing that's tough. I hate to say it, but I agree. I think he had a psychotic break. And early 20s is the most common age of onset for a lot of mental illnesses like schizophrenia. We talk a lot about people with mental illness who then go on to commit crimes because it's part of the nature of the genre. But I think it's also important to remember that what is far, far more likely to happen to someone suffering from a psychotic break or a mental illness is someone else will see them as an easy target, right? So they're just really, in reality, I think they're more likely to be harmed than to harm others. It just makes me wonder if they had recognized any warning signs of mental illness, although how much that's going to help them find their son,
Yeah.
And I head trauma is difficult as well. My late husband, he passed away because he had a very tiny, tiny brain bleed that they didn't see on the first MRI they did after he was in an accident. He was hit by an elderly driver, and that's ultimately what caused his death. They missed a tiny brain bleed, and that sort of cascaded into a series of problems. So it's also very possible that he might have had an undiagnosed traumatic brain injury. I'm sad to say, I don't think this one looks good in terms of having hope, but I hope I'm wrong.
It's just so sad for his family, obviously.
Yeah.
My heart really breaks for them.
It's awful.
I think it is important to talk about cold cases like this one once in a while, just like the Erin Gilleran case.
Oh, yeah, because you never know.
Yeah, someone out there maybe knows something.
Yeah.
And if you're listening right now and you just realize that you know something, please contact your local authorities or go to the family's page. We're going to link to it in our sources. But one thing, please, and I'm extremely, extremely serious about that one. Only contact anyone if you're not just trying to get a kick out of this case. Don't harass the family and get their hopes up or only want to get money out of them. Don't be that kind of person, okay?
No, we know our regular listeners would never. But if this is your first episode, we just want to be clear that we are very much against taking advantage of victims. We're telling you how it is in this episode. Please don't do it. But seriously, I sincerely hope that somebody knows something, because even if we figure out the why, okay, so it was a psychotic break, so it was a traumatic brain, so whatever it is, where is he? It's just so sad, and I don't think it's going to end happily. I really hope I'm wrong.
So Lars Mittank would be 34 years old now. His height is approximately 1.80 meters or 5.9 feet.
He was so young.
Yeah.
I'm very much looking forward. So we have video of him to post?
Yeah, we have the video of him running through the airport building. Well, we have the one of him walking through the airport building towards the doctor's office and then running away from it.
I don't even know what to say. It's so sad. It's just every parent's worst nightmare, isn't it? Especially the phone call he had with his mother. That's one of those things that'll keep me up, I think. Just sort of, I don't know. I'm just so sorry.
It reminds me a little bit of the Frauke Liebs case.
Yes. Yeah, it's just very sad. I hope that they get some resolution one way or another. I'd never heard that story, thanks.
So should we talk about something good?
Something good. Yes. Do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
You go first.
Yeah, my something good this week is probably once again going to be the puppy. I don't want to say it's the only good thing in my life right now because I have lots of wonderful family and friends, most of whom I can't see. But yeah, it's a lot of murder research and then everything in the world is terrible right now in the news. And so my something good really has been this pupper. We still don't have a name for him. He's 5 weeks old. And we are going to live with him for a while, I think, before we settle on a name. But the list of names is long and growing. So if you have any names that you would like to suggest, please, we would love to hear them. But yeah, we're 3 weeks before I get to take home my baby. It's very exciting.
Can't wait to see.
I know. He's velvety. He looks like velvet. I want to feel him. It sounds weird, but like...
No, I know what you mean. I always say because Jam's fur is so soft, like very expensive leather or silk or velvet. And I always say I want to cut off his ears and make like ear warmers for myself. Which I would never do, but it's just so soft.
So soft. Yes, I know exactly what you mean, and you would know, of course you would never. I will say, though, I'm starting to feel like... I don't want to say that I'm stalking the page of... with the puppies, with the litter. But yeah, I am thirsty for photo and video of that puppy in a way that makes me feel fine. It's perfectly normal. Oh God, cut all this. All right.
My something good is Netflix. I think I said that my husband and I started to watch Netflix or any shows together because it kind of gives us this sense of normality.
I love it.
That we're at home together, which we're not, but what we usually do is we say, okay, we're gonna watch that show now, we're gonna binge it, and then we call each other on WhatsApp, and then we say, okay, 3, 2, 1, start.
I love it.
Just as I do with Annie when we start recording.
Yeah.
And then we watch the show and we send each other WhatsApp messages. My something good this week is Better Call Saul.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Because, I mean, Breaking Bad was amazing, like the most amazing show. And then they said they're gonna do a spin-off. Better Call Saul. And I was like, no, don't ruin it, don't do it. Spin-offs mostly suck. No, but this one is so good. It's so good. It's amazing. Go check it out. And now, after we finish recording, my husband promised me that he's gonna watch Crazy Ex-Girlfriend with me.
Oh, nice.
Which I love.
I need to finish that one.
I watched it like 2 times already, and the whole series is finished now, and I asked him if he can please watch it with me. I want to rewatch it, and I want to talk with him about it, and he loves musicals, so
yay!
He's gonna like it.
Your husband and I are gonna get along so well.
All right.
Come say hi in our Facebook group, which, let me tell you, if you're not in our Facebook group, what you might expect in our Facebook group. It's a lot less murder, although there's definitely murder discussion. We talk about cases, lots of house listings that we like, pet photos, many pet photos. We talk about movies. What else do we talk about?
There's lots of memes. So many memes.
We really try very, very hard to keep it politics-free, and there's a virus mega-thread so that if you want to look at that stuff, you can get in there, but it's not all over the page. It's just one of my favorite places on Facebook right now.
I'd say the group is like our podcast, like all the weird, horrible, interesting things are in there.
Yeah, that's right. It's good stuff. Please take a minute, if you would, to leave a review. We would be so grateful. And you can also leave puppy name suggestions there.
Go to our webpage, www.freshhellpodcast.com. You can find all our sources, all our links to our Facebook, to our Instagram, to our Twitter, to our voicemail, if you want to leave us a voicemail and tell us to stop talking about politics or to stop giggling or things like that, you know.
Yeah, we're never going to talk about politics as much as we have in this episode, which is more about talking about politics than actual talking about politics.
That's true. Yeah, and that's it. Say hi to your dogs and all the other pets, please.
Yes.
I swear I'm not gonna cut off Jam's ears.
Oh,
they're fine.
No, never. I'm looking forward to feeling those ears in person, though. Yeah, definitely. And we know that things are tough right now, so as Churchill said, if you are going through hell,
keep going. Tschüss.
Bye.